There's been a very significant update from Liverpool Crown Court this afternoon, where 18-year-old Axel Rudakubana has pleaded guilty to the murder of 3 girls in a knife rampage in Southport. Jonathan Hall is the UK's independent reviewer of terrorism legislation. Thanks for coming on the programme, Jonathan. He also admitted terrorist counts as well, and it's revealed that he was known, or at least put forward, to prevent 3 times. Is this a failing by the security services?
Everyone's going to be asking themselves, everyone, why are they not treating this as a terrorist attack? Could the MI5 have done something about it? I mean, these are all completely legitimate questions. I think what I would say is wait till Thursday when the sentencing is going to take place. I'm pretty sure that the very experienced, in terms of was this terrorism or not, let's see what the evidence is. Sometimes you get things that look like terrorism on the face of it, but it turns out they're not. I'm afraid in my line of business, that's not totally unknown. In terms of whether MI5 has failed, well, again, let's see what comes out. That's nothing to do with the trial process, but assuming there's some sort of inquiry, then presumably that will happen. I think what I would say is there's a lot of misinformation online. I don't think that we can now live in an era of saying nothing. So I do hope that the authorities do as much as they can to be as open as they possibly can and to provide honest, authoritative answers so that we're not completely misled and bamboozled by what's said on social media.
Because we were told by the police and the government that this was not terror-related, but he has, as I say, been referred to counter-terror programmes 3 times. He had ricin and an al-Qaeda manual, all things he has now pleaded guilty to. That's a terrorist there, no?
Yeah, he's definitely a terrorist because he's been convicted of a terrorism offence.
Yeah.
But there's the question of why he did the attack, and there is a difference there. I mean, I don't know when he had the ricin or when he used that plan, but whether he actually carried out that attack in order to advance a religious cause, I don't think we know at the moment. And I do think we've got to see what the prosecution say about it. So they're not stupid. They will have thought the public will need to know. And I would be very surprised if when they open the case to the judge, they don't explain their thinking process. And they will know, the people will be saying, hang on a second, this is terrorism. And they will explain why, at least in their view, it's not. But as I say, ultimately, the judge could decide, whatever the prosecution say, he wants to look at it. But it's not a complete surprise to me that just because someone...
So how many people, it's very hard to say, but how many more people are obsessed with violence in this kind of fashion, but not necessarily obsessed with the terrorist ideology to motivate that violence?
Well, I think about that case. Do you remember the case of Daniel Hussein in 2020? He killed 2 women in North London Park, and he signed a contract with the devil in his own blood and said he was going to make a sacrifice. Now, you sort of think on the face of it, how could someone carry out that attack on 2 innocent women in a park if it's not for some terrorism purpose? But it turns out it wasn't. Or that man who turned up with a suicide belt outside Liverpool Hospital in 2021. Yeah. Again, it looked like terrorism, but it wasn't. So I'm afraid it is just a fact of life that you have people who are obsessed with violence, or even worse, are prepared to carry out attacks, who aren't doing it in order to pursue a religious motive.
Do you think prevent needs to be expanded then? Who catches these people?
Yeah, I mean, the question has always got to be, what would you do about school massacres? If we lived in a world with guns as free as they are in America, I think you can sort of bet your bottom dollar that someone like Axel Rudakubana, from what you're hearing in the reporting, that he was interested in going to his school, if he'd had access to a firearm, he would have used a firearm. So the question is, what do you do about people who aren't ideological, but they're obsessed by violence? There are these people, and prevent either needs to be expanded, or you need to have a separate thing that can catch up these people of high risk.